Now let's get to today's Mic'd Up. We like to feature cool stories you don't normally hear around the DMV through conversations, not short sound bites. Today we feature a man who has reimagined DC through incredible maps. Our Adam Longo talked to him about his art and about how his work is trying to make DC statehood a reality.
These are my stack of maps. These are all of my maps that I use for all the markets and stuff that I do. This one is one of my personal favorites just because I love the Arboretum, and I think this one turned out really well. This one I like a lot too. The map, it's a highly stylized map of the Potomac River watershed. I love DC, and I love maps, and people here also seem to be filled with other map nerds like me. I've always had maps since I was a little kid. I've had tons of atlases when I was little, and I love maps, I love science, I love nature.
Here in Northeast DC today with map artist Zack Cameraman. So Zack, you have been meticulously creating this beautiful map art of DC. Where did the inspiration come from? What do you like about the project?
I love maps, I love DC, so I thought I'd put the two together. I've been working on lots of maps of other things, parks and stuff is where I started with. And then I decided to start doing some neighborhood maps, and they seemed to really catch on, so I did the whole thing. It took me about 6 months to do, and there's other people out there that do maps as well, but mine is extremely detailed. Like, you can see every single building in the entire District of Columbia on it.
Here is your map. 6 months of work.
Yeah, on one piece of paper. Yeah. So each building is drawn individually by hand. There's no GIS, no automation of any kind. It's all by hand, as close to by hand as you can get on a computer. Yeah.
Why are so many of your postcards going to Maine?
Well, there's the people organizing a project called the DC Statehood Campaign asked me if they could use my map to put on postcards that they're sending to Maine voters to try to get them to get, I think, Senator Angus King to support DC statehood.
DC has been a thing, 1801, longer than Maine has been a thing, 1820.
Yeah.
So to me, that's just kind of mind-blowing.
It is, yeah. It is, I don't know, it's silly that we're having to depend on other places like everyone here wants us to be a state pretty much. I mean, it's like what, like 70% that we got in the last referendum that we had. Like, it's almost universal here that everyone wants us to be a state. It's silly that we can't, we have to go through this process and everything when, I don't know.
Because it's not up to us.
Yeah, we have no say in it, which is what's frustrating about it.
I mean, to me, looking at this, it just accentuates the point that DC is a collection of people and homes and neighborhoods, not government.
For sure, yeah.
These are people who deserve representation.
For sure, yeah. I mean, there is government here, but that's roughly here. The rest of it is regular people that work, have lives, and go to the park, and
it's like less than 5% of what we're looking at
here.
For sure,
yeah. These are some other ones that are going out today. This is one I'm really proud of. That's one of my newer ones. It's the geography of books in DC. So the entire map is made out of words. And it's a map of all the bookstores in DC, plus all the libraries. Library of Congress is on there. And if you look closely, the entire map is made of words.
You say that you're now transitioning to being able to work on this full time. Yeah. Doing things full time, you can sort of lose your passion for them. Is that a worry that you have?
With maps, no, I don't think so. I don't think I'll ever lose my passion for maps. Like, when I was a little kid, I had like 7 atlases that I would just spend hours studying. When I'm a huge map nerd. So I don't think that'll ever be a problem for me.
Wow, that is awesome. As somebody else that got to quit their day job to do what they love full time, right. I support him in that regard. One of the things that's so cool about map art is it looks cool, but it also shows pride of place.
Yeah, and it's something that you can really get into and just sort of study. Like he said that as a kid, he would like study maps and study atlases. They have a thing, I hope I can say it on TV, it's like map porn, like food porn, like people who like maps. Like you could search the hashtag on Instagram, nothing inappropriate will come up. It's all just like crazy maps that you can check out. He's done maps of campuses around the area, all the neighborhoods in DC, but this particular one that we were highlighting, this was his labor of love. This was the one that has been the best selling for him so far. Took him 5 months to do. Literally every building in DC. Now, of the postcards that were sent out for this DC statehood campaign, we've got a few of them set up here to show you. These are the ones that went out and were dropped in mailboxes in Maine. So these were targeted to Senator Angus King, who's one of the handful of Democrats who has not signed on to the DC statehood bill in the Senate. Unfortunately, the political reality is that I think last year's Senate hearing on DC statehood is probably the last we're going to hear about it for some time. It's not a winning issue for Democrats right now, and Republicans just see it as this naked power grab that they would be able to capitalize on and energize their base. So ridiculous, though.
Absolutely.
We got more people than Vermont and Wyoming, Zero representation in Congress. It makes me so mad every time I talk about it.
It makes no sense. Maybe we need to divide ourselves, and maybe we can give, you know, because that's how it all happens. It always happens through politics. We'll let you have this, we'll let you have that. We'll pass this, you pass that.
Founding fathers just rolling over in their graves. Listen, you got a story for me, find me on social media, or you can email me, alongo@wsa9.com.
Get at my man, Matt Porn.